once again, shall we? Goddamn. Pluto Scorpio, what's good? Like, I guess the whole video that I recorded before was in slow motion, right? I'm like about to cut it up. I'm like, okay, not gonna work. All right. Anyway, what up, y'all? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Crew, also known as Araneae Storm. Checking in. I am your Cosmic Rootwork astrologist specializing in Mars activations as well as North Node and South Node consultations. So if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can hit me up at araneastorm.wix.com/info, and you can find me on all social media at Araneae Storm. We are hopping into the Pluto series. We are going to be talking about Pluto and Scorpio, to be exact. My generation of Pluto and Scorpio, 1983 to 1995. Let's get right into it. We'll be talking about the energy of Pluto, and then we'll be talking about how Pluto in its home sign of Scorpio kind of coincides together. So this is the deepest, all right? I don't have any Scorpio in my chart but Pluto. This is, like I said, generational. So you definitely want to, like I said, 93, 95 babies. This would definitely be directed towards you. And also, too, before I even get started on all the things that I have for Pluto and Scorpio, I do want to say that I call us the in-betweeners, right? I call Pluto and Scorpio the in-betweener generation because I feel like we were there before. We were there before the bullshit, right? So we were there when I say bullshit, for technology, right? When technology really started to like reinvent itself and come to form and come to pass. We were there before that. We had house phones and pagers at one point in time, but we weren't connected to the internet. We did not have cell phones. We spent a lot more time outside. We spent a lot more time connecting with each other. And I feel like we were like that last generation before everything kind of shifted and we were like super duper on the internet, super duper in our phones, like. So, it's different. It's very, very different now. And honestly, the generations after us, sometimes I feel bad because it's not, let's say that these generations after us don't necessarily have like social skills, but a lot of them struggle with social skills because they're so used to having or being connected to something in their face or it's just it can be a lot of distractions. But I'm not going to throw any shade on any of the other generations because it's not for me to throw no shade on y'all. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying it's just different now, like this new world that we're seeing and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. So to my Pluto and Scorpio generation, let's talk about Pluto first, of being rulership over Scorpio. Pluto being in Scorpio of its home sign. So this is the strongest it's in. It's very strong, very potent for us. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth and transformation, as well as Scorpio. So I guess we could just talk about it collectively because these are each other's energies, right? Death, transformation, rebirth, being able to like go beneath the surface, pull things up and transform them. This is the phoenix rising, right, out of the ashes, being able to go deep, being able to break things down that no longer work or no longer serve us. It's the Tower card also in tarot. This is fixed water, right? So Scorpio can become fixated on things. It can become obsessed. It can become, you know what I mean? Like it needs to know the thing. You feel me? Like it wants to see the thing, right? Yeah. So, and sometimes because Scorpio has such powerful emotions, these emotions can actually overtake Scorpio, the Pluto and Scorpio generation. So our generation has come to learn how to really transmute that energy, be able to take our really powerful emotions and being able to transmute that and basically build the world through that power, being able to create that world, create our, also to not redo, I don't know why I want to say redo our mind, not redo our mind, but basically allow the power of our mind transform the world, the outside world that we see. Pluto and Scorpio also too, like this is the generation where like we see through the lies, we see through the deceit, right? We see through the corruption because platonic energy can be very corrupt. Things that are hidden and unseen, right? Things that you can't necessarily see with the naked eye, right? And so we have come to like expose that. This is also a time for us. Our generation is very much so the time of spiritual ascension. We are that generation that was very much so It's very connected to our intuition, very connected to the unseen realm, very connected to the dead, right? So our generation is more so uncovering what it means to be connected to ourselves spiritually and not just in this physical body, right? And so we are the generation that is uncovering that. You know what I mean? We are the generation that is going into those mystery schools, are talking about these mystery schools, or talking about these histories and things that have been, like I said, kind of left out of the conversation, been left out of, or purposely trying to hide these things out of our history per se, so we don't talk about them, so we aren't connected, or so we don't feel connected to who we are and where we come from and things like that. So we're coming in like Ghostbusters in this bitch and breaking the shit the fuck down. You feel me? We're breaking it all the fuck down. That's what we does. That's what we do. Pluto Scorpio. Shout out to us. Okay. All right. So, like I said, societal change, going beneath the surface. Anytime I think about this, I'd be thinking of Ready to Die by Tupac. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Ready to Die, Tupac. You know what I mean? Like we are the generation that's ready to die for it. You know what I mean? And even if you're watching this and you're Pluto Scorpio, I'm like, not sure if I'm ready to. Well, that's just a part of Scorpio. That's just a part of Scorpio's life. You feel me? Very much so, of being able to understand that life, just as much as we are bringing life into the world and we come through these vessels to bring forth life, we're also understanding that at any given time, death is a thing. You feel me? There's nothing in this world that can ever stop you from dying. Okay? Unless you have some type of elixir that I don't know about. Your spirit might be something that carries on forever, of course, but your vessel will eventually have to go, right? Because it has a time limit on it, right? So that's a whole nother conversation for another day, but that's something that we intuitively as a generation harness. It's like, okay, life, just as much as there's life, there is also death. And there's also that transformational cycle of life and death and rebirth, right? Confronting death, confronting disruptive systems once again. Like, we're not afraid to be like, this is fucked up. And not only are we just the generation that be like, this is fucked up, but what do we want to actively do about it to make it better? One thing that I could definitely say about Pluto and Scorpio generation is very much so reminds me of Pluto Virgo generation, of basically trying to see the problem for what it is, but not only see the problem for what it is, but also try to see solutions, and bring up those things so they can be seen, so we can transmute those into those solutions, right? So that's why we move into Pluto Sag. We kind of pass it over to Pluto Sagittarius, you know what I mean? Because they're going to be the ones that are connecting back and being like, okay, so we have done this is what we, how can we make this into this? And then Pluto Capricorn generation, structurally, as we're experiencing right now, figuring out systems, building and putting new systems in place. I mean, so we can thrive as a society and not be bamboozled into the mass manipulation that is going on within the current society that we live in right now. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time, okay? My Mars in Gemini is like, Mercury just is a Gemini. I think Venus is about to go into Gemini. So if I'm like, just ignore it. Just ignore me. Ways of being and thinking, communication with the dead, ancestral knowledge, ancestral wisdom, Akashic records, right? I'm definitely going to be talking about the Akashic records this year. I know I was going to touch on it last year, but I'm not ready for it. I wasn't ready for it that last year. And I've mentioned it, but I really want to talk about the Akashic records in depth. What's interesting about also to the Akashic records is there's not a lot of information on the internet about Akashic records. Our libraries are closed. Most of the bookstores that we go to would not have any recollection of the Akashic records. Okay, you see what I'm throwing, what I'm catching, throwing, and all that? Are you catching what I'm throwing? And, our internet is regulated, so there's that. So we'll be talking about that. Also, shamanism. You can look at shamanism here. Any type of form, any forms of divination and like I said, psychology, also to the deep depths of the mind, why we do the things that we do. One thing that I saw, The Secret is coming up for me. One thing that I saw when I was watching The Secret a couple years ago is they talked about And, you know, and if death or murder and things like that is too much, you might want to skip like maybe a minute over. But I'm just letting you know, like, basically we oftentimes are get angry and upset, and I get it. So I'm not saying that people killing each other is right. I'm not saying that death or senseless death and senseless killing is right. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is sometimes we often forget, instead of trying to figure out why people kill, we just kind of execute them or deem them as a killer or deem them as this thing for the rest of their lives, instead of trying to figure out psychologically why a person does what they does, why a person do, you know what I mean? And so I feel like the Pluto Scorpio generation is very objective in that way. Of course, like I said, it can be very emotional, a lot of emotional base, a lot of emotional ties, but also the other side of Scorpio is like psychologically organizational behavior is coming up. I don't know why, but for Pluto Scorpio, but definitely organizational behavior, I guess, within the workplace, but on a physical, just personable level, like why, and that's just an example, why we kill, why we do the things we do, why do we feel the need to do destructive things to ourselves, you know, because Scorpio is very big for self-sabotage, right? So why do we do these things? Why are we becoming addicted to certain things? Why are we becoming obsessed with certain things? You feel me? So basically, these are different ways or new ways of being. When you do go through that death and transformation cycle, these are the spiritually awakening, spiritually or psychic development definitely plays a part in Pluto Scorpio generation as well. Conspiracy theories is another thing. I would want to say with Pluto and Aquarius for sure, as we'll be experiencing in 2023. Oh gosh, the Pluto Aquarius generation is going to be so, oh my god, conspiracy theories. I believe in conspiracy theories, and I don't think they're conspiracies. A lot of things are conspiracies. I think they're actually real, but I do believe that we do have this veil that kind of keeps us in check, right, quote unquote, keeps us in check to just make it, oh, that's just blasphemy, oh, that's never happening, oh my god, no, we would never do that. But really, behind the scenes, rebuilding society once again. Like I said, developing psychic powers, physical, being able to, like I said, reprogram your mind in a way that really alchemizes your reality in the way that you want it to be. Scorpio, when it knows what it wants, fixed water, it goes for a fucking bro. It will not let you hold it back. It just goes for what it knows. It's very much so Scorpio energy. So yes, that is my summary of Pluto Scorpio generation. Shout out to us. You feel me? We're going to move to Pluto and Sagittarius, and then we're going to finish off with Pluto and Pisces. All right. Pluto and Pisces, and then we're going to take a quick week break so I can get myself together, right? I'm going to take a quick week break, and we're going to move into the actual planetary astrological the planets. We'll talk about that, and then we'll go into the houses, and then after the houses we'll start talking about the aspects, and then we'll go over the birth chart, okay, like a whole thing of the birth chart, so we could kind of break it down into pieces so y'all can sit with the information, and then we could kind of moving through things and all that. You feel me? All right, so Pluto Sagittarius next up. You already know what it is. It's a rainy storm checking in, checking out without a motherfucking doubt. Deuces.